How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday to everyone. As you can tell, a little change of scenery. We got my wall of guitars here. We got this movie behind me that just ended. And if you can read backwards, you know what film we're going to be talking about. I mean, it's in the title, so it's not really a fucking surprise. But usually every Friday, most Fridays, I make it like a found footage Friday and watch some of my favorite found footage movies or try to find some new ones. But it's such an oversaturated genre at this point that there are just 90% of them are terrible. But this is not one of them, and we are talking 2015's Hell House LLC, directed by Stephen Cognetti and starring nobody, basically, like most of these found footage movies, with two hot chicks and a bunch of dudes that we've never seen before and will never see again, most likely. So let's dive into it. We have the Hell House LLC crew when they are a haunted house company that makes their attractions every year and had a booming company basically down in New York City for years and end up moving their attraction this year, which takes place in 2009, up to the abandoned Abaddon Hotel in the town of Abaddon in Rockland County, New York. And upon their opening night, there was a mysterious malfunction, as it's referred to, and it left 15 haunted house goers and the crew of the company dead mysteriously, except for the one crew member, Sarah Havel, and she is gorgeous. I love Sarah. I love her character in this. What a sexy woman. And yeah, she is sexy as shit. And the film shot is like a faux documentary through the character Diane Graves, who's a journalist and documentarian, and she's making this documentary about what happened that night and the events leading up to opening night for the Hell House company. And we get some interviews with another journalist who has also been looking into the incident, and interview with this older guy who I don't even think they say who he is, like what he does or anything, but he just happens to know a lot about the history of the hotel. So the town authorities and basically the whole entire town are pretty much keeping a lid on what happened that night. I don't even know if they know what happened that night, but they just don't want panic and like bad publicity, so they just keep calling it a mysterious malfunction. So the score in this movie, very good, very creepy, very effective. Love the score in this movie. I love the setting for this movie at the hotel. Like, it is creepy looking, it is very unsettling at times, especially the basement scenes. The basement is like the source of the paranormal activity that happens in this movie, and it's done very well. Like, this is a very good haunted house film, and I love the premise of having a haunted house attraction in a haunted hotel. Very cool idea. I don't know if it's been done before. It might be. Who knows? But they do it very well here. And so we have Diane, who's interviewing Sarah, and she was the sole survivor of the crew that night on their opening night with that weird malfunction that we have no idea yet what it was. And she's interviewing her, and Sarah gives her like a bag full of VHS tapes of basically everything the crew recorded from when they got to the hotel and started setting up their attraction until that opening night where all hell broke loose. And they end up giving the tapes to Diane's cameraman Mitchell for him to dig through and look through the footage while she's interviewing Sarah, and that is the footage that we end up seeing for the rest of the film, the found footage. And we have Alex, who's the CEO of this Hell House company, and his best friend Mac. We have Paul, who is basically films all day and all night under Alex's orders to document everything, basically, as they lead up to their attraction opening up. We have Tony, who is the camera technician and that installs all the security cameras and basically handles all that end of stuff. And then we have Sarah, and they arrive at the hotel for the first time and they start setting up their attraction. Alex is a fucking asshole, man. What a dick this character is. I don't know why Sarah is with him. They're dating for years, and he's just an asshole, man. Like, he ignores everything that happens in this movie. All he cares about is opening his attraction and making money for his business, and that's it. That's basically all this guy cares about. I love the little creepy piano motif that reoccurs throughout the film. I think they explore it in more like what it means and like the history of that little melody in the sequel. There's 2 sequels to this movie. The second one, I enjoy actually. It gets a lot of shit from a lot of people. Like most people don't care for the sequels. I actually enjoy the second one. The third one sucks. So I'll get to those 2 later today though. We have this cool scene with Paul in his room, and this mysterious figure like walks into his doorway, and he just thinks it's one of his friends and stuff that are sleepwalking. Come on. I go to all these hauntings and ghost movies and stuff. No one ever has any common sense at all. So he thinks it's someone sleepwalking or just fucking with him, and his reaction is basically, that's fucking weird, let's go to bed, and then he goes to sleep. Seriously, come on. That's it? Like, that's your reaction to all this? Like, that's fucking weird, and then go to bed? Yeah, alright. We get to see Sarah in her panties. She has a great ass, man. And Paul goes up to tell her and Alex that the actors and actresses that they hired for this attraction arrived at the hotel. So they go downstairs to talk to them and tell them basically what their job entails and everything. The actress that they have, Melissa, adorable, sexy as hell woman, man. She really is hot. Love that. Always good to have attractive women in your horror films, for sure. The clown mannequins in this movie, actually very creepy. Like, very, very creepy. For people who don't like clowns or are scared of clowns, this movie will unsettle you, man. It'll freak you out. My sister hates clowns, and I don't think she's ever seen this movie, so I might just tell her, watch this movie, and then scare the shit out of her and have her fucking have nightmares for a week straight. She absolutely hates clowns. So we also find out through the interviews that there was a tour goer or a haunted house goer that night of the night of the incident that saw what happened. It all took place in the basement, this malfunction, and the basement seems to be like the source of all this paranormal stuff and supernatural stuff that's going on. So this guy saw what happened and got out alive, and the authorities tried talking to him to see exactly what he saw, and we find out he hung himself like a week later or something like that. So definitely a lot of mystery surrounding this hotel. And went through more interviews, we find out a little more history on it. We find out about the person who built the hotel. His name is Andrew Tully, and there were rumors for like decades going on that he was into like a satanic cult, and they were missing hotel residents who stayed at the hotel over like the last few decades. Some of them went missing, and Andrew Tully ended up hanging himself in the dining room of this hotel. And let's see here. Paul is such a fucking creep, man. What a pervert this guy is. He's like goes up to Melissa, the actress, and starts saying, like, trying to kiss her hand while Alex is interviewing her or like telling her what her job entails. And says that he's a master of oils and great with massages, and like she starts freaking this girl out, man. Like Alex says, like she's nervous already, and now you're just scaring her. And it's probably the only reasonable thing that Alex says in this entire movie. Like I said, asshole this guy is. Excuse me. We have a great scene where Paul sees this. He ends up thinking that most of the people are sleeping at this point, and he sees his friend Tony, and he's filming while he's walking around, and Paul ends up right at the top of the basement stairs, and there is the clown mannequin at the top of the stairs, which scares the shit out of him, and he thinks it's his friend Tony. And he turns the camera away, turns it back, and this clown's head moved and is looking at him now. At this point, time to get the fuck out, right? Like, no? Alright, carry on. So he goes to the next room, freaking out, and he sees his friend Tony, and he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you were just over there, thinking that he was the mannequin, which that doesn't fucking even make sense, because they're mannequins, it's not like a costume. So, like, why he thought it was Tony, that's kind of weird. But he filmed the whole thing and ends up showing the rest of the crew members and stuff the next day. And Alex, being the dick that he is and just caring about his money and company, just thinks that him and one of the others played a prank and ignores basically all this creepy shit. They have like this funny scene where they film a commercial like out in a park, and they have like these two dummy zombies and stuff that they're like making a funny commercial with. It's a cool little scene. There's another creepy scene with in the strobe light room that they set up three freaks, as they call them, just like monster dummies and stuff. So Paul stays in the room while Tony turns the lights off and turns the strobe lights off to see how everything is working. And he gets on the walkie and asks Tony, how many freaks do we have again in this room? And he says there are 3, but we see 4 of them, and Paul starts freaking the fuck out. Very creepy. There's a lot of decent creepy scenes in this movie, and not really any jump scares, which is great for a found footage movie. There's like one, I think, but it's in a cool scene, so I give it a pass. Again, Alex is a dick. I wrote down. He is, man. Just all the shit that he gives his he treats his friends and co-workers like absolute shit, man. What an asshole. And he just keeps pushing on to opening night despite all the shit that keeps happening. And Sarah did a cool scene when I think it's Mac and Paul go downstairs in the basement because they hear a noise. On their way down the stairs, the creepy ass clown mannequin standing there on the staircase, like halfway down, and they're like, what the fuck is this doing here? And they end up walking past it, and they find Sarah speaking in tongue, like in a trance, just staring at a wall. And they go to snap her out of it, and when she does, she freaks out. She doesn't know how she got down there. So the more crazy shit that keeps happening, again, you would think, like, get the fuck out of this place. Nope, no one has that common sense one bit. We get my favorite scene in this movie, probably. Yeah, this is my favorite scene in the movie, where it's 3 days until opening night, and Paul usually like films like a little like nighttime journal before he goes to bed. And so he says goodnight, shuts his camera off, and goes to sleep. And then a little bit later, he wakes up, turns the camera on, and we see this creepy-ass ghost girl just sitting in the corner against the wall that he doesn't notice until he picks the camera up and turns around, and he fucking freaks when he sees this thing. And he hides under the fucking covers, man. I would be so fucking far from that hotel so fast if I saw this fucking female ghost just like chilling in my room. I would not hide under the covers and just wait for it to attack me. I'll tell you that right fucking now. And that's exactly what he does. He gets under the covers, but it's a creepy scene. It's done very well. He ends up getting under the covers, freaking out. He's breathing heavy. He's like, oh my, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? And he ends up lifting the covers up, and the ghost is still there. So he pulls it down again and hiding under the covers, trembling and everything. And then he goes to check one more time, and the ghost is right up in his face, attacks him, and basically possesses him. And they do a good job with the look of the ghost and stuff. Like the rest of the paranormal stuff that happens is basically with the clown mannequins. So there's not much, they're just mannequins, but they look creepy as shit, so it works. But they did a good job with the ghost. I mean, the CG and stuff like that, and the way when he opens it the last time and she's right there, like that's the only jump scare basically in the movie. But it's a good one. I have no complaints about that. Again, that awesome little creepy piano motif, I love that. It plays throughout the film a few times. Paul's playing it on the piano at one point. And in the sequel, like I said, they expand upon it, but I'll get to that in the sequel. They look for Paul the next morning because he just disappears, and they think that this is just his normal behavior. And Alex has mentions that he's done this before, like even during, like after their opening nights and while they're working every night, he just has left for like 2-3 days at a time and didn't tell anybody where he's going or say a word to anybody, so he just assumes that's what happened this time. Again, there's so many weird things happening, and this asshole just ignores all of it. Let's see, blah 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 blah. Love the whole idea of, like I said, of the haunted house attraction being in a haunted hotel. Like, awesome little premise, as I mentioned earlier. The clown's head's turning when they go downstairs. I think it's Tony and Mac. They're looking for Paul downstairs, and we see a shot of the 3 clown mannequins propped up against the wall, and their heads don't turn. Like, they cannot be turned. They just face straight. And Tony is looking at them, and then he turns away and he looks back, and all 3 of their heads are turned looking at him. Great shot. Like, looks really cool, looks really creepy. And he starts freaking out, and Mac didn't see this, so like he knows something happened, but not exactly what. And then they're looking around thinking that it's Paul fucking with them, and they end up looking all over the basement, which again, I said the basement is creepy as hell in this movie. Like, it is a place I would not step foot in. I wouldn't step foot in this hotel ever, just the way that it looks from the outside. And then once you see the inside, it's creepy as shit too. Fucking, I would never go into that hotel. Absolutely not. Never. And so they end up finding Paul. He just appears like across from where the clowns are propped up, and he's propped up in the same way, basically, just sitting there against the wall. And he's like in a catatonic state. Like I said, that ghost like that possessed him, basically. And he won't say a word, doesn't talk. They get him upstairs and put him in bed, and he basically stays in bed until like the night of the incident, which is a few days later. So Tony ends up freaking out after seeing these head turns, and he's telling Alex the next day, he said their heads don't move, and they fucking moved. And he's like, can you explain that? And he says, basically, I'm trying to figure that out. He's like, yeah, you're trying to figure it out because that shit can't happen. And he's right, man. And Tony's like the one person with common sense in this movie. And he's like, yo, I'm not doing this opening nights tomorrow. Fuck it. He's like, I quit. And Alex, again, such an asshole, man. And he's been friends with these people for years. And then he tells him, he's like, all right, you're quitting? He's like, yeah, I'll mark it down in my book and everything like that. What a dickhead this guy is. So Tony quits, but then Mac catches up with him and ends up telling him off camera that basically the company is going broke. We're pretty much close to it. So they need this attraction to succeed. So they can save this company and keep making money. So Tony ends up saying to himself, I can't leave, like I gotta stick with this despite how freaked out he is and everything. So Diane, we cut back to, who's interviewing Sarah, and says, why didn't she leave? Great question. I want to fucking know that. Why didn't she leave? And her answer is, well, Alex wasn't going to leave, so what could I do? What can I do? You can leave your dickhead boyfriend and you can fucking leave, dude. What do you mean? What can I do? So weird. It's like, well, this guy won't leave, so I can't. No, if that was me and my girlfriend was running shit and she said, oh, well, I can't leave, I'm not leaving. Peace. Like, I'm out. Like, I ain't fucking staying for this. So we get to the opening night and we get to see everything through these tapes that the security cameras and the cameras that the crew are using. So let's see here. They have again, I wrote, God, the fucking actress Melissa is so fucking sexy. And then she's like handcuffed in the basement, and Mac ends up like cutting her shirt and get a nice view of her body and everything. Fucking beautiful, this woman. And we see what happened with this malfunction, which was definitely not a malfunction. And basically these like satanic cult ghosts appeared in the basement as everyone was trying to escape. They were all panicking and running the opposite direction up the stairs, while the people who don't know what's going on are going down the stairs. And these creepy fucking, they did a good job with the design of these things too. Like, they're just like cloaked figures and stuff, but it's creepy. It works. And they go up to Melissa, and you see just them walking through the basement and stuff, and apparently these are what killed over a dozen people that were down in that basement that night. And we find out the fates of what happened to the members of this company. That Tony it gets trapped in the basement with all these satanic cult ghosts. That's the best thing I can call them. I don't know what the fuck to call them. They're ghosts, and that's all that matters. You know what I'm talking about. Alex ends up hanging himself in the attic, which, good fucking riddance, man. I can't stand that character. And the cult ghosts end up attacking Mac and Sarah in the attic while they're trying to save Alex from hanging himself. And Sarah explains to Diane that she just went down the stairs and she was able to escape. And she tells Diane that she wants to get some rest and that she's staying in room 2C. And don't forget, they're doing this interview in a hotel, not the haunted hotel, but another hotel in the town. And she says she's going to go get some rest. She's staying in room 2C, and she tells Diane, you should check out the hotel. And she said, we tried, it's boarded up. She said, just try to check it out if you can, which kind of hints at a little something mysterious with Sarah. And they go to check the hotel out, actually. And on the way out, they ask, can you just say to the hotel clerk, they're like, can you just let us know if the woman in 2C calls for us or anything? And she says, our hotel rooms don't have letters. And she's like, can you just tell us what room Sarah Havel's staying in? And she looks the name up and says, there is no Sarah Havel staying there. And again, no common sense from anybody. You could put these two things together. The cameraman that goes with Diane, not Mitchell, the one who's going through the footage, he stays behind to look through the rest of the footage. And the cameraman just says, she's probably staying under another name or something. That's it. Fucking fuck it. There's nothing else weird going on. And they end up going into the hotel. And while they're looking through everything in this hotel, and Diana's looking at all the things, oh, this is the kitchen, this is where this happened and everything, and looking at all the props are still there, like the place has been abandoned since the incident again, and basically looks through the hotel, and we cut back to footage that Mitchell is going through, and we see that Sarah was killed by Paul and stabbed to death brutally. And we see it on camera, and we see Paul slit his own throat, and he falls to the ground dead. So we find out that all the members died that night, and that Sarah has been dead this whole time. It's a decent twist. Like, when I first saw this movie, I didn't really see it coming right away, but I kind of thought, I said, there's definitely something with this woman that we don't know. That's something creepy about her that definitely is going to be revealed later. But then as soon as it got near the end, I said, oh, she's definitely a ghost or dead or something. Especially when she said, go check out the hotel. Like, she's trying to lure them there, and that's exactly what she does. And we cut back to Diane and the cameraman in the hotel, and they go upstairs and they see 2C written on one of the doors, and that's the room that she said she was staying in, Sarah. And the camera guy, like I said, we're not fucking going in there. A good voice of reason there. But Diane says, we gotta go in there. This is what I'm here for. And she ends up opening the door, and Sarah has her back turned, sitting on the mattress, and they ask if she's all right, and says, Sarah, are you okay? And she turns around, and her face is bloodied and everything, and the door slams, and they're stuck in there. And then we see two of the satanic cult ghosts in there that attack them, and they are pretty much presumed dead. And we end with the little piano motif again, which I said I absolutely love that melody, and they explore it more in the sequel, and that is the end of the movie. Like I said, very good found footage movie. It really is. And it's very popular, too. I hear a lot of people talk about it, and a lot of people love the film. Like I said, with the sequels, it's hit or miss for most people. Most people do seem to hate 3 and think it sucks, just like I do. But the second one gets a lot of hate, but I definitely enjoy it. And I will be doing that one soon. So talk to you guys soon, and have a good Friday.